We're going to have a look at how to form le futur simple, or the future tense. In English, the future tense is used when we want to say something will happen. For example, tomorrow I will go to school. In the future, she will become a teacher. And next week, they will win their game. As I've already said, in English we use the word will to express the future tense. However, in French, there is no word for will, so we cannot just make a direct translation. Instead, we're going to have to add some endings onto the end of our verbs. And our endings are as follows: AI, AS, A, ONS, EZ, ONT. And those endings are going to be added onto the end of what we call the future stem. So the future stem of the verb. Let's say we want to say someone will play. We're going to take the pronoun to start with, je, I, and we're going to take the infinitive of the verb jouer, to play, and we're going to add ai. That's our ending, that's our will equivalent. So je jouerai is how we say I will play. So the ai is like the equivalent of the will. Tu, you, again, we're going to use the infinitive jouer, and we're going to add on to the end of this our ending as. Tu joueras. You will play. For il, elle, on, again, we're going to take the infinitive, and this time we're going to add an a. So il, elle, on jouera. He, she, one will play. And you'll see that we've added our endings onto the infinitive jouer, which is what we're going to do for the majority of verbs. And if we take the plural pronouns, nous, again, we need jouer, and this time we're going to add an ONS onto the end. Nous jouerons, we will play. If we then take vous, this time we're going to add an EZ onto the end of it, so that would become vous jouerez. You will play. And finally for they, il and elle, we're going to add an ONT, so ils joueront, elles joueront, they will play. As I've already mentioned, the future stem is nearly always the infinitive. If we just have a look at a few examples of infinitives, we've got manger, finir, danser, remplir, boire, and descendre. We're going to add our endings onto the end of these infinitives. However, if they end in an E, like boire and descendre, we're just going to remove the E before we add our ending. So that's because our endings can only be added to an R. And our endings, just a reminder, are AI, ASA, ONS, EZ, and ONT. So if we want to say someone will eat, we're going to use the verb manger, and we're going to conjugate it like this. Je mangerai, tu mangeras, il mangera, nous mangerons, vous mangerez, and ils mangeront. Let's just have a quick look at what happens again with our verbs that end in E, like boire and descendre. So our endings are going to remain exactly the same. We just need to drop our E before we add them. So, je boirai, tu boiras, il boira, nous boirons, vous boirez, ils boiront. But what happens when we want to form the future tense with a verb that is irregular? That means it doesn't follow the pattern. And the verbs that are irregular in the future are our usual suspects, verbs like avoir, to have, être, to be. Faire, to do or to make. Aller, to go. Pouvoir, to be able. Devoir, to have to. And vouloir, to want, so our modal verbs there. And savoir, to know. This isn't all of the verbs that are irregular, but I'm just going to show you what happens with these first. So we can't add our endings onto the infinitive with an irregular verb. Instead, we're going to have to change the infinitive to what we call a future stem. For avoir, that becomes AUR. For être, SER, that's a big change. For faire, FER. Another change for aller becomes IR. Pouvoir becomes POURR. Devoir becomes DEVR. Vouloir becomes VOUDR. And savoir becomes SAUR. And we're going to add our endings onto the ends of these stems. So, j'aurai, I will have. Il sera, he will be. Nous ferons, we will do or we will make. Ils iront, they will go. Tu pourras, you will be able. Elle devra, she will have to. Vous voudrez, you will want. And on sera. And you'll see that our endings haven't changed at all. They are still exactly the same. The AI, ASA, ONS, ONT endings. A reminder that most verbs in French, when we are forming the future tense, use the infinitive as their future stem. But there are some verbs that don't behave themselves, and we have to have what we call the irregular stem, and that's what we are going to add our endings onto. So our endings never change. They are always the same. AI, AS, A, ONS, EZ, ONT, depending on who you want to say will do. There are about 20 verbs that are irregular in the future tense and therefore have an irregular future stem. This is a list of pretty much all of them. Most of them we've seen already, but there's a few new ones that are not so common. Acquérir, courir, envoyer, falloir, pleuvoir, valoir, venir, voir are all irregular. And then appeler, appuyer, employer, jeter, and lever. So the ones on the left have quite irregular stems, so you'll see here how they change. Again, you'll see that there's always an R to add the ending onto. And then the ones on the right here, appeler, appuyer, employer, jeter, lever, they just have a bit of a spelling change. So appeler doubles the L, appuyer, employer have an I instead of a Y, jeter doubles the T, lever just adds an accent. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same.